Put your hands together for Doc Walker, great tight end, but I have followed his career since the Redskins, and truly amazing the things he has accomplished after football, really remarkable. I love Mike Patrick. He's been my friend for many, many years. For him to get the Lifetime Achievement Award, well, it's very appropriate because it's truly an achievement that he's lived a lifetime with his diet and all that he has done. This is a pleasure for me. It's been a while for me since I've been in the market, and believe it or not, I thought I saw Charlie Brotman here tonight, but couldn't possibly be Charlie. He'd be 200 years old by now. And I saw Darryl Green's grandson just a little while ago. Looked just like Darryl. Michael Patrick and I have been friends for 40 years. In fact, I was baptized at his 33rd birthday party. We've had many, many adventures. You may remember, some of you, if you're old enough, we did. You remember the Maryland-Miami game? Remember the Maryland-Miami game where Maryland was trailing by 100 points at halftime? Mike and I did that game, and of course we were gunned up to go do that game. And we slogged our way. We're Maryland fans, so we slogged our way through the first half, and it was whatever it was, 30-3 or whatever the score was. And at halftime, Mike and I sat down. We said, well, what are we going to say? And I said, I got nothing. I was the color analyst. And Mike was the play-by-play guy, and I said, I got nothing. He goes, well, we got to say something to try to encourage the Maryland fans. I said, what are you, crazy? I mean, we'll look like fools. So let's just get on, get off. We'll do it in a couple of seconds, and then we'll just bite the inside of our lip and get through the second half. So that was the extent of the conversation. We get on camera. We've got this huge audience. And Michael looks at me, and he goes, and of course, Michael is, I'm about a head taller than Mike, and Mike looks up at me with the microphone. He goes, so, Kevin, what does Maryland need to do to get back into this in the second half? And he's lucky I didn't just throw him right out of the booth. We played golf many times. Mike's a gambler. He will not play unless you gamble with him. So we gamble. So we go to Williamsburg. It's about 95 and humid, and Mike has never been in peak condition. And he had this habit, if we're playing for a few bucks, and he had this habit, if it was close and he was fading in the heat or he was behind, we get to the 14th hole and his elbow starts to hurt. I said, no elbow. And he goes, and my chest hurts. My chest is killing me. I said, no chest, no elbow. Get your ass out there and hit the shot. So he hits a shot, another shot, another shot. And we get to, and I'm giving him 100 strokes. So we get to the last hole, and he's limping as he gets out of the cart. And he says, I can't go on. I can't go any further. And I said, you're going. And we're finishing this round. We get to the tee, he hits a ground ball. I hit a beautiful drive right down the middle. He limps out of the cart. It's another ground ball. So now he's about where my drive is. I hit it on the green. And the winner of the hole, I'm giving him a shot, the winner of the hole is going to win all the money. He's clutching his chest. I'm dizzy. I can't catch my breath. I said, I'll get the club for you. We can do this. So he's about, it was about a wedge, maybe a little more than a wedge, and he takes the club, he stands up, he's got one hand on his chest and the other hand on the club, and he swings and he hits it this far from the hole. And of course, I'm on the green. He gets a par, he knocks the thing in, and I lose the money. So we go and we sit down, and they bring out one of these respirators or whatever the hell it was, and they check his blood pressure, and it's a little funny. And I pay him, naturally. 3 days later, he had a quadruple bypass. If he'd have had it that day, I wouldn't have had to pay him. I had a satisfying career, and I had a very lucky career. I never intended to be a broadcaster. If it wasn't for Mike Patrick, I probably never would have been a broadcaster. I was working for a UHF station in Northern Virginia, and I used to read the Washington Post into a minicam in the morning. That was a sportscast. Whatever was in the Washington Post, I'd read the first paragraph, and then the guy behind the camera would either go like this, or he'd go like this, or he'd go like that. And I was getting $5 a day. And George Allen used to have these free agent tryout camps. You may remember where people come from all over the country off the street, and they get an opportunity to make the Redskins. And I thought, gosh, that'd make a great show. So I took a couple of cameras from this UHF station, and I put together a show, and we ran it on the UHF station. And it turned out pretty good, a lot of human interest there. And somebody said to me, you ought to try to sell that. I thought, who would I sell it to? I said, well, why don't you drive into town and go to the television stations and see if they want to buy it? So I did. And I was in those days, I was into sporting goods, and I was working in sporting goods, and I had a truck. So I was driving around, I had this tape in the truck, and I had this sweaty T-shirt, a pair of jeans, and I happened to come on WJLA when it was on Connecticut Avenue. So I go up to WJLA, and I'm standing in the lobby, and I go up to the receptionist, and I say, could I see the program director? And she looked at me like I was crazy, and she says, not without an appointment. You can't go in here. And so I said, okay, well, I guess that's it. And then there was a woman about that big standing behind me. And she said, why do you want to see the program director? I said, I have this tape of a show, and I thought you might want to buy it. So, or she might want to buy it, or he might, whoever it is. And she says, I'm the program director. I said, really? And she said, yeah, come on in, I'll look at the tape. So we go into her office. She doesn't even know my name. We go into the office, and I'm not going to give the impression that I was great. I shot this thing when it was about 90 degrees. I had a three-piece suit on, and a sweat was running off me on this tape. So we go in there. She puts it in the television set, and the thing comes on the screen, and she watches it for about 3 minutes, and she says, I'll buy it. And as she says that, this old guy comes in, and he looks on the screen, and he says, is that you? And I said, yeah. He said, do you want a job? This is, there are people lined up at the door wanting a job at WJLA. And I didn't really want a job at WJLA. I didn't even know I was there to get a job. So I said, yeah, I'd like to have a job. And he said, come on Thursday. Dan Lovett, who a lot of you will remember, great guy, great broadcaster. Dan Lovett was the main guy. And then there was this other guy that did weekends. So she said, Dan Lovett's on vacation. Come on Thursday, go to the sports office, and this guy will show you the ropes. I'd never done a live television show in my life. I had no idea what to do. So I come back on Thursday, and I go down the hall, and I walk into the sports office, and sitting behind the desk is this guy over here, Mike Patrick. And I looked at him, and I said, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I've never done a live broadcast. Can you help me? And he looks at me and he says, do you play gin? And he whips out a deck of cards. And we sat there all day while in between hands, he's preparing a show. He's got a photographic memory. He's a brilliant guy. Preparing the show. He does his show. We say our goodbyes. I'm going to work Saturday morning. It's my first day. He's on vacation now. He's done. That's why I'm working on Saturday, because he's not there anymore. So I go in on Saturday morning. I'm lost. I have no idea how to do this thing. I have no idea how to put this show together. And I'm there for about an hour. And I look up, and who walks in the door but Mike Patrick? On his vacation, knowing that I was about to do the worst sportscast in the history of the world. And that was almost 40 years ago. That's why I'm here tonight. That's why I love him dearly. He's been my closest friend for almost 40 years. I left out a lot of stories you don't want to hear. We've had great times. He's truly, in my opinion, now I've worked with the best. I worked with Merle Harmon, and I worked with all of them as I've gone through my own broadcasting career. He is a remarkable broadcaster, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart that you would give him this award. No one deserves this award more. Ladies and gentlemen,